It's very elemental. You're digging this material out of the earth, forming it with your hands, transform it into this thing through fire. Goes from being clay into something else, and it can't go back. It's always about this chase of trying to get the materials to do something you want to do, but there's always that little bit of a dance around, I can't control this thing. It's nature. Sometimes you can't control it. You have to kind of let it reveal itself. The Archie Bray Foundation was started in 1951. Archie Bray was a brickmaker in Helena, Montana. The Bray, as we call it, started with friendships that he had with a number of different people, happened to be interested in pottery, and then they had these conversations around, wouldn't it be cool if we started an art center? Unfortunately, Archie passed like a year after it was founded. So the Brays had like a really interesting history because eventually the brickyard went bankrupt and then the artists were just still here. And there are many points in history where it could have all just ended. The reason why that it is here today and thriving is because it was sort of on the backs of very dedicated people that kept it going. That's been the consistent thread. People come who bring like a lot of gifts and creativity and vision for what's happening here. It just keeps building and building it on top of itself. From a really young age, something about like working in clay just like always felt really exciting. High school is when it really kind of took for me. Once I was introduced to the pottery wheel, I just got like completely obsessed with it. I had no comprehension that someone could be a ceramic artist. So I actually went to college to study business. I would spend like my off hours at the ceramics department. So after a year, I switched my major and then I transferred. That's actually when I applied to come to the Bray for a summer. And actually, I got into 2 residencies and I asked my friend who'd been to both, and I said, hey, I think I'm gonna go to this Peters Valley place. And he just looked at me, he's like, you need to go to Montana. He's like, don't even think about it. And then I haven't looked back since then. What I love about this organization is that the focus is on the artists, like really first and foremost, that's the priority. And it's about creating space and time and resource to like let people really explore. Come here and there's 10 other people, but they're from all walks of life. Just by observing everyone else, it helped me learn how to be a professional because I was seeing like the work ethic and the schedule that people were keeping up in the studio. When I came as a summer resident, the director was an artist named Josh DeWeese. When I first came here, I remember watching him and thinking like, I think Josh has the best job in the country, but like nobody knows it. Because he was here like helping so many people, you know, develop their careers, but then he was also a working artist. When he was kind of coming to the end of his time here, I stayed in touch with him and he let me know that I thought like, God, if I can ever have Josh's job, you know, that's what I would dream about. I applied. I can't believe I got this position, but I was able to get hired here and then, you know, have been here close to 16 years. For a lot of people, including myself, that have never been to Montana, it seems very exotic. Particularly for someone like me who grew up in the Midwest, like you don't understand the mountains until you come here and actually see it, or the sky. That's what's so great about a place like this in Montana is that it all opens up. Freedom to explore, freedom to experiment. The landscape, the environment like really feeds that too. It's touched a lot of people in that way. Found community, they found, you know, beautiful environment. Those things have to have an effect on the way that we're making and thinking about the artwork. People who work in ceramics, right, like we're basically defined by a material, which is clay, and then a process, which is firing the clay to turn it into ceramic. It takes many forms, right? Like that's what's so wonderful about ceramics is that it can be so many different things. Because the process can be a little bit intense, you know, and you need a lot of equipment and it's kind of expensive to set up. It's sort of created these like communities of people. You can create a studio that accommodates a lot of people, but then you only have to buy like 1 kiln or 2 kilns so that everybody can share. People are pretty open and generous with one another. Those connections form very quickly. I've tried to really embrace failure as much as I can in ceramics. We can build these expectations in our mind of what we want something to be, and then if it cracks or the glaze runs or whatever, the first instinct is to just devalue it. I've learned so much through just stopping, looking very closely. It's like, actually, this is more interesting than what I was trying to do. I mean, it's just a helpful philosophy in life. Like, and I think about this a lot now that I'm sort of finishing up as the managing director here. Humankind, it's like we are always trying to apply structure, perfection, expectation, you know, trying to control so many things. It creates like this anxiety, like this sort of self-created anxiety around things. Like the work has taught me that too, is that, you know, it's like if something cracks, like maybe that's interesting, or if the glaze runs, it's more beautiful. For my transition is like I'm leaving the role of the resident artist director, but then I'm going to continue to work as a special projects manager, particularly around programs that confront, you know, diversity, equity. I think the pandemic for me personally it made me really reevaluate a lot of like my own values and how I want to spend my time, and I feel so proud of the work we've done here. Making art is really what I do best, and it's what I need the most, so I came to a conclusion that I felt the Bray was in a really good place to hand off to like the next person who's got this great energy and excitement like I did. My dream job was always the Bray, but then the only other dream job that any artist would have would be to be a full-time artist. I'm really excited. I think it's exciting for the Bray, it's exciting for me personally, and I'm really looking forward to this next phase in my career. The mission of the Archie Bray Foundation is for all those who are seriously and sincerely interested in any branch of the ceramic arts, a fine place to work. So that's the original mission that Archie and his cohort came up with. I look at that often and I think, like, has this changed? You know, have the needs changed? Does the mission need to change? And I think in its essence, it's really held true, like, over decades. That fine place to work. Like, how do we make it a really fine place to work for all of these ambitious, creative people that come through here? You know, that's been the North Star for us through a lot of change and through a lot of growth. It served us really well.